Hi everyone, and welcome back for another episode of Malice in the Mitten. I'm your host, Tracy Preston, along with my bestie, Christine Mulligan. Hey, Christine.
Hey, Trace. Hey, everybody. What's going on today? What are we getting into?
Well, if a child disappears and no one files a missing report, what happens to that child?
It's a good question. Sometimes nothing. And that's the worst freaking part.
Today's story begins in a quiet Wisconsin culvert in 1959 with autumn flowers and a skull.
Oh, God. So how many deceased babies are we going to be talking about, Trace?
Just one.
Aye. All right. Let me have it.
Now, this is a story about poverty, about silence, about science catching up to cruelty, and about a little boy who was reduced to a number.
And hopefully this is also a story of how he gets a name.
Yes.
All right.
Now, before we begin today's episode, I want to acknowledge the writer and researcher behind the story. Today's case was written and researched by Rebecca Hiers.
And she always does great work on all of the stories.
She does. Rebecca dug through court records, archived reporting, and modern forensic updates to help bring this child's story back into the light.
And we're on it to tell it, so let's go.
This is Rebecca's research, and today we give voice to it.
This episode contains discussion of child abuse, neglect, domestic violence, and the death of a minor. Listener discretion is advised. If stories involving harm to children are difficult for you, as they always are for me, please take care while listening.
Now, let's dive in. This is Season 11, Episode 4, The Boy in the Culvert. How Chester Alfred Brieney got his name back. It was October 4th, 1959. A woman walked along Davis Road in Mequon, Wisconsin, roughly an hour north of Chicago. The day was warm. Autumn flowers still bloomed stubbornly in the roadside ditches. It was the kind of day meant for quiet walks and small, beautiful things. She saw some flowers there that would look so pretty in a vase on her table. As she stepped down into the culvert to gather a cluster of late-season blossoms, something else caught her eye. As she reached to pick the flowers, she saw something. It was poking up through the dirt. At first, she thought it was driftwood. Then she saw the curve, the hollow. It wasn't wood. It was a skull, one of which looked as if it belonged to a small child.
Imagine going out for flowers and finding that. I think that would change you forever.
Yeah, it would. Now turning, she ran to her home and called the police. Police then combed the area searching for clues. The skull, with short blonde hair, led police to believe it was the body of a young girl, aged 6 to 8. Within 24 hours, they would find a leg bone, torso pieces, and arm bones. Over the next few days, the rest of the missing parts would be found, buried under debris in the culvert. Although badly damaged by the elements, it was clear the child hadn't arrived in the ditch accidentally. The body appeared to initially have been dismembered. It was clear that prior to death, the little body had been abused. Signs of previously healed broken ribs were found.
Yeah, so this wasn't sudden. This wasn't one bad night that was ongoing.
It was originally thought that the body had lain there for 2 to 4 months. Now, this timeline would later be extended to as long as 6 to 10 months. A broadcast went out all over Wisconsin and northern Illinois asking for information on any missing little girls from the area in that time frame. Local cases were investigated and dismissed as matches. Over 200 leads would be followed up on, all leading nowhere. Eventually, the tiny little body was sent to Madison and given the number 6426 in the missing persons file. There, it would sit, forgotten, until 1966. William Brieney was already 43 when he married 18-year-old Anna Haler in Houghton County, Michigan. The pair would have several children, the youngest of which was Josephine. By the time their youngest daughter, Josephine, was 8 years old, her father, William, was 73. He died suddenly of a heart attack in 1939. And life was hard for the family after his death. Anna suffered from schizophrenia and bipolar disorder and would be sent to the state mental hospital in Newberry, Michigan in 1948. 2 weeks after she was institutionalized, Anna passed away. Her cause of death is listed as exhaustion due to mental illness. She was 53. By 1952, Josephine, unmarried, now 21, found herself pregnant. She gave birth to a son she named Chester Alfred Brieney. 9 months after his birth, the courts deemed Josephine an unfit mother and took Chester from her. Chester was sent to the Goodwill Farm. Started in 1899, it was created to care for children who had lost their fathers in mining accidents. At the time, families were given company housing. When the father died, wives and children were removed from the home with no place to go. Now, this was a solution to that problem. Located on an actual farm, it housed up to 50 children at a time, functioning as both an orphanage and a school. Children were kept there until they were adopted or aged out. It was here little Chester came. William Jutila was born in Torch Lake Township to his parents Michael and Alida. One of 10 children, he attended and graduated from Lake Linden schools. One day, when he was in his late 20s, he went to visit his aunt. Now, his aunt had a picture of a young lady in her home. That young lady was named Helia and lived in Finland. Asking his aunt for her contact information, William sent Helia a letter. As the two corresponded, a romance blossomed, and Helia soon came to the Copper Country in May of 1950. Just days after she arrived, the two were wed in Chassell, Michigan. In 1952, after 2 years of marriage, they still had not managed to have a child. Now in their 30s, and their biological clocks ticking, they decided to contact the Goodwill Farm in hopes of adopting a child. It was in November of 1952 when the Goodwill home reached out to William and Helia. The couple received incredible news that they had just received a 9-month-old little boy named Chester. Excitedly, the couple agreed to take him in, and Chester was delivered to their home later that day. They formally adopted Chester on March 24th, 1955. Josephine, the birth mother, was not allowed contact with her son. It was Josephine who named her son Chester. That was the name she whispered when she rocked him. It was the name she never stopped saying. Now, William and Helia did meet with Josephine once, but then all contact was ended. The couple changed little Chester's name to a more Finnish-sounding name when they received him. His new name would be Markku Edward Michael Jutila. With his mother being from Finland, the family spoke mostly Finnish, especially when at home. English was a second language for them. This was common for the area at the time. When Markku started school, he spoke mainly Finnish, leading to difficulty in communication. Some reports say he had a learning disability, which William would also later claim. But some of his difficulty could have been the fact that he just didn't fully understand English. Life went on for the little family until December of 1958. As on any other day, 6-year-old Markku went to school and came home. By this time, William was unable to work as he had been injured in a mining accident just 2 years prior. Helia was doing laundry when Markku walked through the door, and even though it was winter, she hung their clothes outside to dry. It was an ordinary life. Then, the family just disappeared. When they left dinner cooking on the stove and clothes hanging on the line in the backyard. When friends and family later came to call, it appeared the family had left quickly, but with intent to come back. A search was launched, but failed to find any of them. It wouldn't be until almost 10 years later that they would be found. Later, the couple would claim little Markku came home from school sick. Helia put him to bed, and when she later went to check on him, he had died. Unable to afford a doctor or a funeral, they claimed they put his little body in their car and fled. After leaving the house with their son's body in the back of their vehicle, they drove into the night, south through Wisconsin. Stopping in Mequon, they found a deserted culvert. There, they left the little boy they had promised to love and care for. He would lie there, undiscovered, until a woman went for a walk to find autumn flowers for her house almost 10 months later. The two left the body in the culvert and continued south. Soon, they would arrive in Chicago, where they would start a new life. A life where nobody knew they had a son, and most importantly, nobody would know he was missing. The two rebuilt their life in Chicago. Helia obtained a job cleaning a building in downtown Chicago. They never talked about where they came from or their life before moving to Chicago. They never contacted William's family to let them know where they were and that they were okay. They became just two more anonymous people living in the big city. They gave no thought to the friends and family they left behind, and they certainly never gave a thought to the little boy they had so callously left in a culvert in Wisconsin. But then, something happened. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe he wanted to brag. Maybe he was homesick. Nobody knows, because William never said. But in 1965, he wrote to his brothers back in Lake Linden. In the letter, he told them where the pair was living. Wanting to verify the letter was really from William, his two brothers made the trip to Chicago. Now, little Markku had been a small child when they had last seen him, and they assumed there would be a teenage boy in the home when they arrived. But there was no child, teenage or otherwise. Curious as to where the young man was, they asked. William told his brothers that Markku was in a special home for children with disabilities. Later, the men returned to Michigan, but would return to visit again. This time, William said the boy was playing with friends. Realizing the story didn't match what they had been told before, especially as a teen, Markku would be too old to be playing with friends. The brothers were becoming suspicious. William and Helia had left Michigan too quickly, been silent too long, and told too many stories about where Markku was for things to be legit. When William's brothers returned to the Copper Country, they contacted the Houghton County Sheriff Department with their concerns. They had a feeling something bad had happened to Markku, and that it had happened on the night his parents had fled. The police agreed with their assessment of the situation, and Deputy Franz Heidemann was sent to Chicago to investigate. Arriving in Chicago, he met with the Chicago Police Department, who sent a sergeant and two detectives to the Jutila home to question the couple. Taken off guard, William let the policemen into their home. When questioned about Markku, the couple began speaking rapidly in Finnish. They debated which story to tell. But what the couple did not know was that Deputy Franz Heidemann spoke fluent Finnish. He stood there quietly, understanding every word.
That is priceless. I love that for them. So they thought that they were speaking their own language and nobody understood anything they said, but he just stood there listening to every single word. I love that for them.
I know, and could you imagine the detective? He's probably like, oh my God, this is gold.
I know. And then the look on their face when they realized he understood them, priceless.
I know. It's poetic justice. I love it. Then Heidemann took the Chicago cops aside and told them what was said. And the pair were taken to the Brighton Park Precinct headquarters for questioning. Separated and questioned, their stories were not lining up. Sergeant William Gorman finally broke William. He confessed that Markku was dead, and Helia had killed him. She had beaten the young boy to death. After hearing this, Sergeant Gorman went to speak with Helia. He told her that William had confessed, quote, "He's dead. We put him in a culvert," Helia said in response, and began to cry. Police began to trace the route the pair had traveled all those years ago to find out what had happened to Markku. Eventually, they found out about the tiny body, found while a woman searched for flowers in 1959. The size of the skull and bones and approximate age of the missing little boy all matched what they were looking for. As they lived in Illinois at the time of their arrest, they appeared in Cook County Court 2 days after their arrest on March 28th. The judge found that the police had not filed a formal complaint with the court, and this technicality forced law enforcement to release them. Quickly correcting this, the proper complaints were filed and the pair were rearrested. Upon their next appearance, they asked to be extradited to Michigan. Deputy Heidemann came to pick them up to take them back to the Mitten. Hyla told the court, quote, "I am innocent, and I want to prove my innocence," and her reason for wanting to be tried in Michigan. This was contrary to her husband's admittance of her beating Markku to death. Now, Houghton County Justice of the Peace, Louis Jerbeck, would preside over their first hearing in Michigan on April 1st, 1966. The charges brought against the couple were that they feloniously, willfully, and with malice did kill and murder Markku Edward Michael Jutila. They were given no bond, and both pleaded not guilty. The couple had court-appointed attorneys, and both of their attorneys would try for the next 3 months to have bail posted, but at this, they would fail. While being held, both William and Helia underwent mental evaluations and were found to be of normal intelligence and confidence with no sign of legal insanity or mental illness. Both denied murder and insisted that poverty, not being able to afford a doctor or a funeral, is what caused them to hide their son's body when he died suddenly from illness. After all, poverty isn't a crime. They had simply panicked. This is what their attorneys were preparing as a defense for when they went to trial. But the case would never make it that far. Preliminary examinations to figure out potential charges began in September of 1966 in front of Justice Gerbeck. There were multiple charges the couple could face, like first-degree murder, if there was enough evidence presented to the court. If not, murder in the second degree, manslaughter, and improper disposal of a body were other charges the couple could face. Police from Chicago were called to testify. William Laughlin, an anthropologist from Wisconsin who had investigated the small body all those years ago, was called. He testified that the body found was consistent with that of a child 6 to 8 years of age. He also testified to signs on the body that it had been abused prior to death. Police from Mequon showed pictures from when the body was found. Friends and relatives of the couple were also brought in. And neighbors said that Helia was a drunk and could be heard constantly yelling. On the third day, a tape recording of their questioning at the time of their arrest was presented as evidence. Now, in the recording, William admitted to Helia beating the boy. The courtroom was cleared of witnesses and spectators. Then the judge, the prosecution, and the defense listened to the recording.
There's something chilling about hearing recordings where people are admitting to their crimes. But I always have a small question in my mind, especially back in those days, when you listen to someone admit in their own voice about the chilling telling of their crime. I always want to hear it for myself. I feel like the inflection will tell you if they're telling the truth or not, or if they're being coerced into saying it. Not that this is the case here, coercion is not an issue here, but I always think to myself that, I'm always listening for coercion whenever you hear a tape of someone admitting something.
Agreed, because we've all seen those. There was a episode on Netflix that we watched where that man was coerced into confessing and spent like 20 plus years in prison. And I mean, we've seen several documentaries like that with the innocent, throat tossed in jail for something they didn't commit.
Yeah, and it's equally chilling when you hear somebody that is a psychopath and telling about their crimes. For example, one of the serial killers that we probably have all heard and seen their confessional tapes on video recording and tape recordings when they tell their deeds. It's like I don't know. I can't even verbalize what I'm trying to say right now when it comes to videotaping of police interviews. I just find it, I don't know, is titillating the word I want to use here? I'm not sure. But do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's always a hushed moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense, because sometimes they're just so nonchalant. They just tell it like it is with no emotion, like a complete sociopath.
Right.
Or they're proud of it, which is also, and both directions are chilling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. Now, when the tape finished playing, Justice Gerbeck adjourned the court. It was September 22nd. He wanted to read the transcripts of the tape. He wanted to think. The state had very strict guidelines for evidence for each charge the couple could face. He had the unenviable task of determining if the evidence presented fit those guidelines. If he could not determine that it fit the criteria for first-degree murder, he had the option to drop the lesser charges if it fit that criteria. If he could find it fit none of the criteria, he would have to dismiss the case. There was also the real task of double jeopardy. If the preponderance of evidence in front of him didn't convict, and they were set free, and more damning evidence came to light later, the couple could not be retried. Now, the court convened on November 10th, 1966, feeling they had made adequate arguments for at least manslaughter charges. The prosecution asked for the case to be moved to circuit court. The defense, naturally, asked for all charges to be dismissed. Now, today we are used to shows like Criminal Minds and CSI, where DNA is used to solve cases in under an hour, magically. Fingerprints are lifted and run through machines showing matches. They scrape under a victim's nails for evidence who attacked them to find out who committed the crime. They take hair samples to find out who an unknown victim is. But this was 1966. DNA evidence wasn't a thing yet. DNA wouldn't be used in American courts until 1987, and not until 1988 in Michigan. Even though the tiny body found in the culvert matched the general description of Markku, despite the fact that he was found around the same time that he went missing, there was no way to prove that it was him. Police thought it was the body of a little girl. The body was found 10 months after the couple disappeared. Realistically, little Markku could be anywhere. And even if it was him, there was no way at the time to prove he had been murdered. Beyond a reasonable doubt is a core tenet of our court system. Many children sadly go missing every year. Today, we have missing children registries to check against, but that also wasn't a thing back then. Yes, it could be Markku, but it could also reasonably be another missing child. There was no way to prove it was him. And if it was him, with no way to prove he had been murdered, The most they could have been charged with was improper disposal of a body. Although the body shared some information with the missing boy, you can't convict on coincidence. And without DNA, that's all the prosecution had. So, Justice Gerbeck would find the prosecution's case was inadequate, and William and Helia were set free.
So they just walked out.
Yep, they were free to go.
Crazy. But, I mean, I get it. I understand how the burden of proof works, but it just makes me feel ill that they were obviously abusing a child. The child is no longer alive. They admit to burying the child, and nothing could be done. It's always going to get me a little bit nauseous when you realize that the system is irrevocably broken on both sides.
Yeah. And to a couple who desperately wanted a child, to then finally be lucky enough to get a 9-month-old baby, to end up abusing, and all of a sudden one day abusing him so much he died.
Okay, obviously, I'm not going to believe that they just desperately wanted a child. They obviously should have never had children, so the universe knew what they were doing with not getting her pregnant in the first place. Dare I comment? However, this is another case of them just doing all the supposeds. They were married, and they were supposed to have a kid, so they got one. Reluctantly, it seems now, in retrospect. And then she abused him because she never wanted him in the first place. So it's just a sick, twisted game of life. It's just twisted. The whole thing is twisted.
Yeah, it really is. Now, having no reason to hide anymore, they moved back to the Copper Country. Helia died on January 20th, 1988. And William died on April 23rd of 1988. And the case was forgotten. But Josephine, the birth mother of Markku, had moved to Wisconsin and died there in 2001. She was the last person to remember she had a son she loved, a son that was taken from her, that she had named Chester. And that right there just kills me, because this birth mother ended up moving to Wisconsin where her son's body was found. This poor woman.
Yeah. Heartbreaking. The thing is you really didn't go into any detail of why he was taken from her, other than her just being young and poor. So that's disgusting in and of itself.
Right. They said she was unfit.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Gross.
Terrible. Now, in 2023, Wisconsin cold case detectives came across number 6426 in the cold case files. Assessing Houghton County records and records from Wisconsin and Illinois, they were able to piece together Markku's story. Examination of the remains showed they were from a little boy, not a girl, as had been originally thought. The remains showed signs of neglect, such as his dental health was poor. His bones showed signs of infection and poor growth. The cold case detectives believed the child had rickets at the time of death, which is a disease that causes poor bone growth due to lack of vitamin D. They also noted poorly healed fractured ribs. There were signs of trauma and bleeding. There was no doubt this child had been murdered, probably from a beating. The DNA was extracted from the skull and compared across various DNA databases. Now, although Josephine had no direct living relatives such as other children, she had many nieces and nephews. And in 2024, it was concluded that the body found in the culvert was indeed little Markku. The little boy found in the culvert, buried under dirt, and given a number, now had a name. And his name was Chester.
Finally. At least they got that right.
Yeah. Now, little Chester now lies in a donated plot in St. Mary's Cemetery in Port Washington, Wisconsin. For decades, he was case number 6426, a file, a skull in a box, a forgotten child in a culvert. But in 2024, science gave him back what had been taken from him. His name was Chester Alfred Brieney, not just Markku, not just a number, but Chester. A boy who once had a mother who loved him, a boy who deserved warmth, love, safety, and care. 65 years after his death, he was finally laid to rest under his own name. And that matters, because the smallest victims deserve justice, even when justice comes quietly, even when it comes decades too late. Because when justice cannot punish the guilty, it can restore the forgotten. We tell these stories so they are never reduced to numbers again.
If you or someone you know is experiencing domestic violence, help is available at 1-800-799-7233. Thank you for listening. Thank you for remembering together. We are Malice. If you were moved by this story and would like to hear more, hit that like, share, and subscribe button and leave us a comment on whatever platform you're listening on. This helps our show to grow and reach more people who want to hear true crime stories that most podcasters never tell.
That's right. Smash those buttons, everyone. Let's comment. Let's grow this show. So thank you, everyone. As always, we appreciate you. And we will see you all back here on Wednesday for Round Robin. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.